of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel, broadcasting under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. 0840 UK local time, or the British Standard Time, and 0740 GMT on Wednesday, the 21st of June 2023. Now, Boris Johnson was ousted from the UK Parliament on Monday. And for 2 days in a row, Tuesday and Wednesday today, Fleet Street newspapers are running on blanks on him. I mean, this is historic, isn't it? Here was to quote the sick-making Norman Shit of the BBC, who would say, but he is a winner. If he is a winner, then that should apply universally, shouldn't it? Irrespective of the issue, irrespective of the topic, that whatever happens, genital liar Boris Johnson turns out to be the winner, turns out to be the one who gets the majority of the Conservatives' votes. And by definition, gets to occupy the post of Prime Minister in the name of the United Kingdom, which is what he did. And speaker after speaker, during Monday's limited debate on the Privileges Committee's report and recommendations, speaker after speaker had to say Boris Johnson was a liar. And no one, in my observation, deserved that opportunity on Monday than Don Butler. Don Butler was the one who had been taken action against by the speaker for calling Johnson a liar. And there she was on Monday, expected to speak about the Privileges Committee of the House of Commons, which found evidence that Boris Johnson on multiple occasions told lies. And so, what is Don Butler doing? Let's check on what Don Butler is doing today in terms of the kind of follow-up the internet news outlets are doing on her. And she says that carbs on MPs calling each other liars in the Commons are nonsense. The Labour MP was ordered to leave the Commons in 2021 after refusing to withdraw her claim that Boris Johnson had lied. Now, here is a picture of Butler, not speaking on Monday, but on another occasion. Carbs and MPs calling each other liars in the Commons are nonsense and need to be changed, according to the MP who was ordered to temporarily leave the house 2 years ago for saying Boris Johnson had lied. Labour MP Don Butler said that she hoped the parliamentary record of her temporary explanation could now be amended to show what she said was actually correct. And she also suggested that there's too many spots obstructing the vision on the screen. Labour MP Don Butler said she hoped the parliamentary record of her temporary explanation could now be amended to show that what she said was actually correct. And she also suggested other ministers had lied to the House in recent years. She was speaking in the Commons on MPs debate as MPs debated the Privileges Committee's conclusions that the former Prime Minister misled the House. Under normal circumstances, the Commons Speaker or Deputy Speaker will not tolerate MPs saying in the Commons that another MP had has lied or is a liar, as it is not considered within the boundaries of parliamentary etiquette. Ms. Butler, Labour MP for Brent Central, told the Commons in July 2021 that Mr. Johnson had lied in the House and the country ever, over and over again. Her remarks predated the so called Partygate revelations and were made about Mr. Johnson's general handling of and rhetoric to pandemic policies, including the claim that at the time the link between COVID 19 infection and serious disease and death had been severed. Speaking in the Commons on Monday, Ms. Butler said, democracy demands honorable conduct, and we haven't seen much of that over the last few years. And if we allow lies to go unchecked and deceit to become the norm, then our democracy begins to crumble. Ministers coming to the dispatch box, and we are saying that, and we are saying that, and we are all saying, but that's not true, that's not true. She said, she rules, I'll read that again. She said, the rules of the House mean MPs have to say the person has inadvertently misled the House with the expectation that they will then come back to correct the record. They never come back. They tell a lie. They sit down. They have a goofy grin on their face. MPs should not be so obsessed with the archaic rules of this House. And we must be honest with ourselves and we say, I'll read that again. And we must be honest with ourselves and say, we have got to challenge the rules of this House if they are not working. She added, we have got to challenge we have to challenge the system. We have got to challenge the system of this House if it is not working. And I do think it is nonsense that you cannot call somebody a liar if they're lying. And people say, well, then it's just going to degrade the House. And everyone is going to be calling each other a liar. Well, if you don't want to be called a liar, don't lie. She said it was ironic that she was thrown out of Parliament for calling Mr. Johnson a liar, only for the Privileges Committee to find that Mr. Johnson has misled the House. She said, sometimes I wonder what is the purpose of Parliament if we can't hold ministers to account, if we are just going to allow, if we are just going to allow them to lie. And Johnson knew he was lying. We all knew he was lying. And he knew, we knew he was lying. But the system protected him. And what we have to do is change the system so the system doesn't protect the liar or the lies. The system protects Parliament and our democracy. She added, as we get over closer, I'll read it again. As we get ever closer to a general election, ministers will try and whip up moral panic, and they will begin to spread further lies. We actually can't wait for 2 years for a privileges committee to find them guilty of lying or misleading the House, because that would be too late. Now, this is the piece in the online independent.co.uk, and this piece is, of course, contextually based on the proceedings in the House of Commons discussing, debating the report published by the Privileges Committee and its recommendations. And this is a piece byline to Ben Hatton. The picture of Don Butler is not from Monday's debate, which is what is mainly quoted in this piece. Now, Don Butler herself had featured in the 2008-2009 expenses scandal as having lied about her residence and claiming money based on that lie, very similar, not to the same extent, but very similar to the lies that in Tower Hamlets were perpetrated by Paula Monzila Uddin. Now, the lies of Don Butler have now been overcome because she has got re-elected again and is able to say that she is now vindicated by the Privileges Committee over her calling the liar Boris Johnson a liar. Whereas in Tower Hamlets, Paula Monzila Uddin remains not held to account. And Paula Monzila Uddin has been seen, like a creep. There she is, creepily featuring in the kind of pieces that the creeps publish without any explanation. She is there. Now, she has not been held to account, and she deserves to be held to account, and she deserves to be stripped. The baroness that she has been allowed to call herself, and the additional money that she has been pocketing based on her being continued to be allowed to call herself a baroness, that is to say, a female member of the House of Peers, that should be taken away from her. Because the records will show that the Bangladeshis in the United Kingdom, especially the Bangladeshis based in the London borough of Tower Hamlets, have failed to produce accountability by somebody who owes everything about her career to the Bangladeshis in Tower Hamlets. She has been a liar from the start, something that I noticed and I told anyone who would listen, but the point was lost because Paula Monzila Uddin's lying were not seen as being unacceptable by the rest of the Bangladeshi population in either Tar Hamlers in the rest of the United Kingdom. This is the kind of characteristic example where I disagree with the rest of the so called careerists. I'm not a careerist, but the rest of the population that does the careers in the name of the Bangladeshis. Palauddin is a liar and a crook and a thief. Now, this is not a unique thief and a crook. There are other thieves and crooks in the Bangladeshi community who are also allowed to kind of carry on with their little careers. I mean, the outrageous silence by the Bangladeshi community in Tower Hamlets or anywhere else over the corruption of Lutfur Rahman, the criminality of Lutfur Rahman, the fraud and dishonesty, the abuse of the position of executive mayor at the expense of Tower Hamlets, that is absolutely unbelievable. Lutfur Rahman has been the incumbent in the post of elected mayor, starting in the last part of October 2010 and ending on the 23rd of April 2015. Those calendar years, Lutfur Rahman was in post and he was doing corruption, abuse. And despite the fact that they knew Lutfur Rahman was doing the corruption and the fraud and the abuse, the so-called Bangladeshi outlets, Bengali language outlets, operating their businesses from addresses into our hamlets, despite the fact that they actually belong to other parts of the country, but they strategically identify themselves as being based officially in Tower Hamlets. So the ethnicity linked Bangla language outlets did not report Lutfur Rahman's corruption, Lutfur Rahman's criminality, dishonesty, and abuse of the position. And while he was doing that, and the so called ethnicity linked outlets were colluding with him, the elected councillors, so called, the elected councillors, even those who claim to be sitting in the name of the Labour Party, all of them maintained silence. There was a token expression of criticism by only two or three Labour Party councillors. The most mentionable in this context was, of course, Josh Peck. But Josh Peck was an opportunist crook himself. Josh Peck is not somebody that was raised into our hamlets, but somehow he surfaced into our hamlets, and through the crooks in the Tower Hamlets Labour Party, was able to get himself nominated and elected as a Labour Party councillor. And when the actual corruption of the mayoral imposition began, Josh Peck pretended to be opposed to the mayor system. But as the actual counted votes showed, he didn't actually campaign rigorously enough, honestly enough to stop this corrupt post being foisted onto our hamlets. And I suppose so. Josh Peck actually did not campaign really against the imposition of a corrupt elected mayor system, nor did anybody else in the Labour Party. It turns out that the only rigorous campaigner against the corrupt elected mayor system has been me, and I remain so. So when I say that Paula Monzilauddin, a proven thief and a liar and an abuser of the post, is a PRS in the UK, she hasn't. Paula Monzilauddin is not somebody whose record is clean. She's not a role model, and she's not an ideal representative for democracy, basic democracy. And yet, the elected member of parliament for Bethnal Green, Rushnara Ali, has been pictured many times with Paula Monzilauddin, hugging her and embracing her. And it has been seen and heard that Paula Monzilauddin has called Rushnara Ali, in political terms, her daughter. Now, during the Monday debate in the House of Commons on the Privileges Committee's report about the liar Boris Johnson, when Butler was speaking, she was surrounded, or she was filmed as she spoke in a frame that showed that she was in the middle, and on either side of her were two other African origin black women of Labour Party with designation. Now, that means that there was a good impression of the presence in the House of Commons during that debate of alert African origin women concerned about the need to ensure that integrity and honesty are maintained and established and upheld in the House of Commons in Parliament. In comparison with that, you could not find any similar images during that debate anyway of Rushnara Ali or Afsana Begum, the two Bangladeshi descended Bangladeshi origin women who were both Labour Party members of parliament and who have no reason to personally owe anything to they were elected by ordinary people, not by Palaman Zilauddin, and it makes them, which she couldn't anyway. So during the debate on Monday in the House of Commons in London, the African origin member for Parliament, Labour Party member for Parliament for Brent Central in London, Don Butler, spoke, and it was coherent, clear, and the two others who followed her expressed similar opinions, but of course, because of the background of Don Butler having already featured in 2021 as being the MP who was ousted from the or suspended from the House of Commons because she called Boris Johnson a liar. Don Butler got more attention on Monday because of that, because she really was vindicated by the Privileges Committee report. Now, what has happened in the meantime to the other kind of the two Bangladeshi origin, Bangladeshi descended women members of parliament in the name of the Labour Party for the two Tower Hamlets constituencies is that they more or less they are absent in terms of the visual appearances. In terms of the constitutional democratic political activities, they are also equally absent. So somebody who follows our critical references to these both two, they can check and they can find that we have been consistently pointing out they are extremely useless positions. We shall come back to Rukhsana Ali and Afsana Begum in due course again, but let's move on to what happened on Monday again, because on Monday, one of the two members of parliament for Newham, Stupid Timms, spoke, and he spoke mainly about the Stephen Timms spoke mainly about the incidents when Boris Johnson had lied, given false information. And he pointed out that therefore Boris Johnson was correctly condemned by the Privileges Committee as a liar. But Stephen Timms, who do I call stupid Timms, is a liar himself. Although he has got extraordinary amount of mental slavish solidarity from Bangladeshis, Indians, Afro Caribbeans, and Africans in the Labour Party in Newham. Stupid Tim's does not reciprocate factually, analytically, let alone campaign wise. The recognition that he owes to the people who support him so blindly. While Stephen Timms was leader of the Newham Council, before Robin Wales succeeded him after Stephen Timms became the Labour Party Member of Parliament. When Timms was leader of Newham Council, that was going back to 20 years ago. Nothing happened really. And since Robin Wales took over as leader, and then from 2002, Robin Wales became the elected mayor at the expense of Newham. Stupid Timms has been persistently in place as the elected mayor in the name of the people of Newham. But unlike Margaret Hodge, let's say, who spoke on Monday as well, Stupid Timms did not, Stupid Timms never expressed a critical opinion about the role that Robin Wales was playing while Wales was in the post of executive mayor for 16 continuous uninterrupted years. Now, we shall be talking about that more in future editions, except to say that Stupid Timms was one of the people present at the Community Links event held on the 12th of November 2018, attended by the United Nations, visiting rapporteur envoy on extreme poverty in Britain. So when these people gave accounts of barbaric, cruel behavior by Newham Council's employees, social workers, etc., while even Roxana Fiaz knew that she had to do something, and the something that she did was to kind of undermine the impact of the revelations that employees of Newham Council were heartless, cruel, and unfit for purpose and were uncaring. So we shall be talking about Stephen Timms, Lynn Brown, the other MP for the Newham constituency. Looking at the way that Roxana Fiaz in Newham misled the people by staging the stunt apology has not been followed up. Again, I have asked Roxana Fiaz dozens of times question or questions, asking her to explain or state or confirm what, if any, she, as the incumbent holder of the post of mayor at the expense of Neom, has done to stop cruelty, lack of care, corruption, abuse, dishonest behavior by the employees of Neom Council generally, and by specifically employees in departments, sections like the social services. There is a slogan that Roxana Fiaz, over the top slogan that Roxana Fiaz kind of peddles. And the slogan is that people are at the center of everything we do. Now, this is a grotesquely sick making, creepy slogan. Of course, people are at the center of everything we do, even when Neom Council attacks people. It is the people who are at the center of the attacks. But what she actually creepily suggests in the slogan is that she is doing everything to meet the requirements, the needs of the people in Neom. And the other thing is that whatever Neom Council does is not being accounted, is not being audited by any democratic process. The most significant, shocking claim that Roxana Fiaz has made in the last, let's say, 4 months is that housing has reached the crisis in housing or housing crisis in Neom has reached a nightmare situation out of control. Now, whatever the level of the funding that she can link to the level of housing crisis, whatever the level of the funding, is never actually published. And Neom Council's meetings, which are staged in public, but they are plastic, rubbery kind of events where Roxana Fiaz is not really held to account. And anyone who takes part in the so called questioning is only ever able to do that if they are totally plasticky and totally banal. The only real people that actually have things to do by way of critically taking a look at the practices of Neom Council are the people who, very small number, are campaigners. There is no audit of whatever Niyam Council does by any external independent democratic framework. The House of Commons does not audit. There is a select committee, but it's a select committee which might as well not exist. So, most of the select committees in the House of Commons are politically, democratically dead. And the deadest of them is the one that is supposed to be about the department that is called Leveling Up, which is currently fronted by Michael Gove. Michael Gove himself is a crafty self seeker, and there is nothing in the department's behavior that actually has any mechanism for ordinary people to either seek or to receive accountability for their local council, like the, say, for example, the people of Newham, people of Tower Hamlets, people of Hackney, people of Lewisham, or as is the case with Croydon. There is absolutely no evidence anywhere in the United Kingdom, either in Parliament or in the media or in the judiciary, that those who make decisions in those platforms or from those platforms or via those platforms have any respect, any awareness about ordinary people who are being let down, lied to, denied, disenfranchised. For example, when the woman who spoke at the Community Links event on the 12th of November 2018, attended by the United Nations visiting rapporteur, the special envoy on extreme poverty in the United Kingdom, Roxana Fayaz responded by staging an apology for the behavior of Newham Council's employees towards the woman who made the statement. We shall be talking extensively about Roxana Fayaz, and we shall take a look at the actual appearance she made on the 12th of March 2018, 2 days before I appeared on the same satellite channel challenging Robin Wales. But 2 days previous to that, Roxana Fayaz appeared on the program on the 12th of March 2018, and I wasn't present there, but whoever presented that edition came across as being genuinely ignorant about the purpose of democracy, the purpose of local councils, and the serious impact local councils' practices have on most people who have to depend on the behavior and services of the local council. So, part of the reason why local councils, such as Tower Hamlets, such as Newham, such as Lewisham, such as Hackney, part of the reason why these councils, which are all institutionally lumbered with elected mayors, part of the reason why they are not accountable to the people is because all the so called news outlets are operated by people who are either completely ignorant about the duties of the local councils, or if they are not totally ignorant, they are totally committed to covering up and hiding the failures and the negligence and the corruption of the local councils. There is a dirty, very un kind of dignified, corrupt relationship between the ethnicity linked media and the local council. For example, when the outlet satellite channel S, which claims to be broadcasting in the name of Bangladeshis in the United Kingdom, when that particular channel came to cover, let's say, what was happening in Tower Hamlets since Lutfur Rahman was inserted as the elected mayor. There is not 1 minute of the report by Channel S about Tower Hamlets Council, either on housing, on education, on, to quote a tell me what you want stated. If you want to highlight anything through our campaign, you should go to the Twitter account and open the we shall be talking more about this issue and especially examine an update on Catherine Carswell, who has been further corrupting Croydon since she was appointed permanent chief executive by the crooks in Croydon in due course. Over to the situation in Pakistan, where Imran Khan is being hounded by the military and the stooge regime. And the hounding is reported in a piece by the New Indian Express website, as including more than 144 cases filed against Imran Khan by the Pakistan regime. How can that be? How can that be possible? So we shall be talking about the widespread, open, brazen corruption of the Pakistan state by the military and by the colluders in the next edition. And this is the time that we're bringing an end to this one, which is probably 50 minutes long, or 55, 56 minutes long at 09:30 hours UK time, which is 08:30 GMT on Wednesday, 21st of June 2023.